You're watching Sports Central on CBS 2, sponsored by Morongo Casino Resort and Spa.
And hello again, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Sports Central Saturday. I'm Jim Hill, joined by ESPN LA's Alan Slewa and Stafon Johnson, who is coming with us today. He's got a little bit of a grudge today because of what happened to his team last night. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but Stefon's head coach now at his alma mater, Dorsey High School. You're one of the best-known backs to ever come out of the University of Southern California with the Trojans. But last night for you and your team, it was a bitter pill to take, wasn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's wins and losses in every game, and I think that the younger guys had a great opportunity to try to see exactly how that type of style of offense can be effective. And towards the end of the game, they're starting to understand it, and we're just going to just build off of that. And hopefully they watch some football today and seeing the Colorado game. It kind of shows them the same thing.
And when you think about it, we just saw it right here on CBS 2, Air Force hosting Colorado. And Allen, the Falcons just ran all over the Buffaloes and then some.
That kind of weather, this is the type of game to make sure that you run the ball down their throat. Over 400 yards rushing, and last week over 500 yards rushing, so we certainly know how Air Force wins these games.
Were you surprised at what you saw?
Yeah, I mean, anytime I think you have that much success where you're one-dimensional like that and you're still dominating, if you dominate the line of scrimmage, forget about it. And I think the way Air Force did it, this game really wasn't much in that second half.
And, Coach, you really enjoyed watching the running backs here, didn't you?
Absolutely. Like Alex spoke the 400 yards rushing definitely put imposing on the defense, excuse me. I mean, that's all you want, especially in that type of weather. And then just to be able to stick to your style of football is always going to be a good job doing it.
Air Force winning it by a score of 41-10. You just saw it right here on CBS 2. We will have full highlights of Colorado Air Force coming up a little bit later on. But for now, what do you say we shift back to USC as the 10th-ranked Trojans are up north now to take on the Stanford in the Pac-12 Conference opener. USC kicked off the Lincoln Riley era in a big way, beating Rice 66-14. Caleb Williams connected with transfer Jordan Addison on a pair of touchdown passes, and the defense came alive with 3 pick sixes. Now the men of Troy head up to the farm, where they've lost 4 of their last 5 games against their oldest rival, and Coach Riley says the ground game will be huge for them.
In terms of the run game, yeah, it's absolutely important. I mean, you understand this is a game that, you know, it could potentially become a low possession game. That Stanford certainly has tried to do that at times in the past and done a really good job of it. And obviously puts a premium on how well we play defensively. It puts a premium on how well we can control the line of scrimmage offensively. And to make the most of those possessions, you're certainly going to have to be able to run the football.
All right, Stefan, here we go. After what we saw against Rice, how high is the ceiling for the Trojans?
I love it. I love it. I think that Caleb is hitting on all cylinders right now. I think that his ability to be able to spread the football amongst all his other weapons that he have around the floor makes you that dynamic, you know, and then them to mix in the running game as well. And they did a great job. They had some youngsters in there that was able to, you know, Relief Brown was able to get some paint on his shoes. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I think we weren't really able to see any assessments against Rice, but going into the forum is definitely a good test for him moving forward.
And Alan, you know, you talk about encouraging. What about this defense with 3 pick sixes, which is absolutely unheard of?
I don't know if we'll get 3 of those tonight, but there is something about that, right? When your defense can set it up for the offense, like you guys were just mentioning, that is so key. And playing up at Stanford, we know what a challenge it is. Smash mouth type of football Stanford plays. It's a great test. Jim, I know it's early in the season. I know it's only week 2, but there's a reason why this became nationally televised in the last week. It should be an exciting game. So let's see if their defense can do it again.
All right, Stefan, it is USC is all set to join the Big Ten. We all know that, and it's unclear what the future holds for Stanford. What do you think SC players are thinking about this rivalry with the Cardinals right now?
I think historically we always have great games against each other. I would love to try to find a way that we can still be able to maintain that relationship, but I think that this is something that we're going to be seeing. I think the next couple of years is going to be definitely big, you know, them moving forward into the Big Ten.
You know, Ellen, I'm thinking his players are at home right now watching, saying, ooh,
oh, yeah.
Coach is really good. Coach knows what he's talking about.
Polished, already polished at that coaching.
Absolutely. I'm just trying to be a pillar. Just let them see exactly what you can do outside of football.
And a shining example, too.
Absolutely.
You better believe it. All right, my friends, plenty more college football to come. But what do you say we head to Flushing Meadows for the women's final at the U.S. Open? Top overall seed Inga Swiatek is looking for her is looking for her third straight Grand Slam, going against number 5th seed Ons Jabeur, who is just seeking her first Grand Slam title after losing in Wimbledon at the Wimbledon finals. That was back in July. It has been an incredible tournament so far, but there can only be one winner. We all know that. And Iga Swiatek really shows us why she is up 3-2 in the first set. They get to a baseline rally. Then Swiatek comes to the net and puts away the forehand winner. She wins the first set 6-2. Swiatek keeps it rolling. She's up 1-0 in the second set, and she drills a backhand winner down the line past Jabeur to win the second game, and she's really dominating. But Jabeur is not giving up, not by any chance. 4-4 now. Take a look at this rally. Jabeur runs up to the net and is able to get a beautiful return for the point. And the momentum now is in her favor. Though Swiatek really fights back and forces a deuce, a crucial point here in the back and forth rally, but Jabeur really makes a costly mistake. Swiatek wins the point and wins the game shortly after that. Moving ahead now, 6-5 now in the tiebreaker. Swiatek serving for the U.S. Open. And look at this, and just like that, she wins in 2 sets, 6-2 and 7-6.
I'm just not expecting a lot, especially before this tournament. It was such a challenging time, and coming back after winning a Grand Slam, it's always tricky, even though if Roland Garros was the second one. So I really needed to stay composed and focus on the goals. And for sure, this tournament was really challenging also because, it's New York, it's so loud, it's so crazy.
Well, you could tell how happy she was just by listening to her voice. And I'd like for you to talk about Swiatek and how fundamentally she was in this game.
I think her preparation definitely played a big part in her winning this U.S. Open today. I think that a lot of different things played in her behalf, and just to keep sticking at, staying with her way of playing and her way of attacking definitely helped her out a lot.
And when you talk about these players and then winning these championships, especially in tennis, this can be very physical on them as well.
Third major title for her. Mm-hmm. Every big point she needed today, she got. And that's really kind of the difference of it, Jim, right? Momentum. She's so young and she's so experienced at the same time. It's not a surprise that she's in this position, not a surprise that she won either. And
she will be back there many more times, that is for sure. All right, my friends, what do you say we go to the men's side? And tomorrow, it's a number 3 seed, Carlos Alcaraz, facing 5th seed, Casper Ruud. Alan, can the 19-year-old Alcaraz get his first major victory now?
I think he can. I mean, we're watching that semifinal, and it is, the energy in New York is so amazing, and he had the crowd going. Even though he was taking on an American in New York, he had the crowd. The last 19-year-old, the only 19-year-old to win a major is Pete Sampras at the U.S. Open. So he's got a chance to do it, and it's pretty amazing seeing what he's accomplished already at age 19.
And I'm sure he's really interested and would like to make a little bit of history as well.
I think so, too. I think that we're seeing something that's going to be big in the coming future. Him being 19 and him being so explosive, I think the game of tennis is definitely looking for that.
And whatever happens, we're going to have it for you right here on CBS 2. All right, everybody, stay right where you are because we are just getting started on this edition of Sports Central Saturday. Still to come right here on CBS 2. Tons more, and I mean tons more college football, including the nation's top team, Alabama, on upset alert in Austin, Texas against the Texas Longhorns. Plus, the 8th-ranked Fighting Irish of Notre Dame tried to avoid falling to 0-2 as they struggled early against Marshall. And for this week's edition of the Boys in Blue, we sit down with the Dodgers' Joey Gallo and Hanser Alberto to talk about what makes their friendship so very, very unique. All that and more when we come back right here on CBS 2. Welcome back, everybody. Coming off their big win over Notre Dame, number 3 Ohio State hosting Arkansas State. The Buckeyes lead 17-9 in the second quarter. C.J. Stroud goes deep and connects with Marvin Harrison Jr. 42-yard touchdown, their second of the day. Alan, this is really amazing.
It is, and this is what Ohio State does. They're feeding off that win from last week and looking great earlier today as well.
And it's really amazing. They've become known now as a passing team.
How about that?
You better believe it. Ohio State is up 38-12 now in the third quarter. Stroud looking deep again and threads the needle to Harrison for their third touchdown of the day. Ohio State wins by a score of 45-12. Meanwhile, to the biggest game of the week, a blue blood battle between Texas and number 1 Alabama. The Crimson Tide hasn't lost a regular season non-conference game since Nick Saban's first year at the helm in Tuscaloosa. Texas coach, remember Steve Sarkisian? Well, he's looking for his biggest win of his career, going against his former boss and mentor in Coach Saban. Over 105,000 fans at Memorial Stadium, including a couple of former Longhorns and Scotty Scheffler and Kevin Durant. Bama breaks through in the first quarter, tied at 3. Chase McClellan comes around, turns on the Jets, 81 yards to the house. Alabama leads by a score of 10-3. Stafon?
That looks real good to me. It's a regular outside zone, and just let it stretch, man. Get some paint on your shoes. Look at it. Looks good out there, man.
You better believe it. Ensuing drive now in Texas is marching. Ohio State transfer Quinn Ewers is come up with a perfect throw to Xavier Worthy. That's good. 46 yards, setting the Longhorns up in the red zone. But he injured his shoulder a couple of plays later. Hudson Card came in, and they would score to tie it at 10. The Longhorns defense had Alabama back down in their own territory down in the third quarter. They get to Bryce Young, and it looks like a safety. They called targeting and on the field, and eventually wiped it off. But the play ends up just as an incompletion. Alan, that's incredible.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure out what happened. They're right to take back the targeting, but I don't know how that's not a safety. That one got a little confusing, and it ended up being the difference of 1 point.
A lot of anger about that one. Now to the fourth quarter we go. Alabama in the red zone, trailing 16-10. Young avoids the pressure and finds Jahmyr Gibbs for the touchdown. That puts the Tide ahead 17-16. The 2-minute drill now for the Longhorns. Watch the play action. Casey Gain is wide open over the middle. 25-yard gain, but they failed to get another first down, and they forced to try for the field goal. Game is on the line now for Bert Auburn, attempting this one from 49 yards out. He gets it to go. Clutch kick for the sophomore. Texas takes a 19-17 lead. And Heisman winner Bryce Young has 35 seconds to make a play. He avoids the sack and takes off for 20 yards into the end zone. Stafon, that is absolutely incredible.
I've been seeing this kid since he's been in high school. He's been a magician ever since, and that drive really kind of catapulted him into knowing who he really is in college football.
Oh, yeah. I like the way you analyze that because you know what you're talking about. That sets up this 33-yard field goal to take the lead. And Will Reichert gets it to go. Alabama avoids a major upset. The Crimson Tide win it by a score 20-19.
You know, we got to play better. There's no doubt about that. You got to give Texas a lot of credit. They did a great job today. Sark's doing a great job here. They got a good team, so we just got to play better.
Boy, he's cool, calm, and collected there. But Stafon, you know, after barely surviving the upset, should Alabama remain the #1 ranked team in the country?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that the way that they can go to finish games, even if they're behind, the way that 2-minute drill was at the end of the game was flawless. You know, I think that they've been able to capture those type of experiences over and over, and having Bryce Young at your helm is always a good thing. They kind of remind me somewhat of the Patriots type. You know, they kind of just do the same things over and over again, and they become great at it. And mix in some athletes like we see running down the sideline right now, it can be very scary. So Sark did a great job going out there and definitely testing them, and they're definitely coming through.
Kind of reminds me of Bill Belichick when he says, just do your job.
Just do your job. Yeah, I mean, just listening to him after the game and the things that he's able to express and saying they have to get better. You think, even with my team, I think that practice makes perfect, and practice makes sure that we hit on all cylinders when we need to, and they kind of showed that when they needed it.
Yeah, Alan, we have to ask, even though they lost, are the Longhorns back?
I think they are. I mean, just listen, if you're taking Alabama to a final possession, and you're doing that with a backup quarterback that's hobbling, that says something about your program. That says something about Texas. So I'm incredibly impressed with Texas. Maybe they grow on it. One thing to keep in mind, they still want some true tests later on. Number 7 Oklahoma, number 11 Oklahoma State, number 9 Baylor. They'll have other games this year that they can prove themselves.
And I hear you agreeing, and so you know exactly what he's talking about.
I can hear Sark, and because I was my offensive coordinator when I was at USC, I can hear him in the locker room just saying, like, just finish. You know, just preaching the ball and finish. And I think that during the practice this week, they're going to have a heavy emphasis on finishing the ball game. They was right there. You know, like you said, they had a backup quarterback, and he did a wonderful job. And Sark testing them up to the end.
But like we always say sometimes, in this game, inches make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, it was a great defensive call on the corner blitz right there against Bryce Young, and they had him just that fast, and his magicianship is definitely who makes him who he is, and he's able to scamper out of there and finish the playoff. But those different plays like that definitely shows you the difference between the game.
All right, what do you say we move on, my friends, and talk about Notre Dame dropped to number 8 in the country in the polls after falling to Ohio State today. They had a bounce-back opportunity as heavy favorites against Marshall in South Bend. We all know how crazy it is there. Marcus Freeman Freeman leads the Irish out of the tunnel at Notre Dame Stadium for the first time as head coach. Now the Irish are down 12-7 in the last seconds of the third quarter. Tyler Buckner finds that Kevin Bauman 18 yards to get the first down. They would quickly punch it in for the score. Then Buckner continues to show off for his